Hi everybody, I'm Jack and this is Raw Tropical Living. Thanks for joining me today. The title of the video is Raw Vegans and Food Addictions. Now I'm going to start this video off by telling you that I think a lot of the food addiction stuff I hear is hooey. I think it's actually, I'm not saying food addiction does not exist, but I think it's a very, very, very minute amount of people. I would say out of every 100 people that actually think they have food addictions, maybe 10 of them actually have real bona fide food addictions. Now I've watched a few YouTubers and I interact with a few people on social media that, and this is just me, I read people. I've always been good at reading people, and these are people that I read that actually do seem to have something going on with that is truly addictive, and it's not just a kind of an excuse or a made-up thing in their head. So just want to clarify that. You have people that selectively listen to what other people say sometimes and want to jump on a few keywords. So just to clarify there, I do believe that there is such thing as food addiction, but no, I don't think even very much of a percentage of the people that think they have it actually do. A lot of times it's just like I say, it's a little bit laziness, it's just a little bit of, okay, you need a little bit of a push, you need a little bit of willpower, you need a little bit more of a better plan. But for the purposes of this talk, I'm going to act like everybody that thinks they have a food addiction has a food addiction, and I'm going to kind of give a little idea of something to use to battle that, and why you might just keep having you keep having a problem with a certain type of food, a certain particular food, or whatever. I think I've mentioned this before. I think it's very much like drugs. I don't understand people. It's almost like I watch this human experience. I almost feel like a lot of times I live outside this human experience just because I'm such a loner and I don't have much of a life, really. I mean, I've got a great life, but you know what I mean. I don't have a lot of people. I don't have people that I'm responsible to. I don't have people I'm around every day. I don't interact in normal ways that most people do. So I'm kind of a little outside this human experience sometimes. And I try to watch humans. I try to observe. I try to learn a little bit about your species by watching you. That's odd for another human to say, huh? I'm just being silly there, but. And it's always, I don't get certain things like it, and I never say anything because everything touches something off online. Like even if you're just inquiring, asking a person why they might do this, everything is just, everybody's so touchy out there, so I don't mention it. But I'm just like, my first thing is, I'm thinking is I'm watching a certain person or people, and they're doing great, they're feeling good, they're vibrant, they're happy. You can see it in the posts that they're making. Everything's positive about what they're doing. They know they have a problem with a certain food, a certain type of food. They know what this certain type of food is going to do to them. They know it's going to bring them out of this good state, and yet they keep falling back to it over and over and over and over. Well, I got a food addiction, blah, blah. And then you got to hear them whine and cry and pull themselves all back up and start over again. And it's just, there's no use in it. Okay, the first few times you can be a little bit more like, okay, well, everybody does that. But after it's over and over and over and over, you're kind of like, you got to figure this out a little bit, or either you're just never going to overcome this. It's basically like, everybody wants to do these little things like their cheat days, and oh, I've been doing good, so now I'll eat this, and blah, blah, blah. And we all do that. And there's a certain line, I think, of going up to that line where it's okay, where you eat certain things that may not be in every day to day. But there's a certain line you cross and you seem to reintroduce toxins, addictive properties back into your body. Everybody's got their trigger thing. And it's just like, to me, it's no different than cigarettes or drugs. Cigarettes, heroin. Two really addictive substances. And if you've ever tried to quit smoking, or if you've ever tried to kick a really heavy drug habit, like heroin or pills or meth or something like that, that pull is really serious. And once you get that stuff out of your system for a while, the absolute worst thing you can do is get some back in your system, because all that does is is fire that desire back up. It starts those cravings back up, and all of a sudden, I'm not saying it will necessarily push you very back, all the way back to the beginning, but you in a way, you are starting all over again. You're starting all over fighting this substance that has a hold over you, a substance that gives you problems in your life. And yeah, maybe some people think that's dramatic sometimes when you compare it to cigarettes and drugs, but I think the principle is very much the same. And I watch people. There's another issue there too, like people not being able to analyze and just like. Once you do something 10 times and you have the same results, it's time to change what you're doing. It's time to think a little bit. It's time to ask yourself. It's like whatever it is. Okay, let's say maybe I don't know, whatever it is, a widget. I won't eat a widget. I don't need to eat a widget. Every time I fall off the wagon and I eat widgets, X happens. I've done this 10, 12, 15, 20 times. Okay, well, my question to you is, what's your plan? What are you going to do about this? How are you going to problem solve? You know, I talk about that a lot, about how that's what this is. That's what getting your food under control is. That's what eating how you want to control. That's all life is problem solving. You figure out where you have problems and you solve them. What do you have to do to keep you away from this type of food? Is it because you're letting yourself get too hungry? Or is it because, there's another one I see too that that hurts with it. The people that are always trying to be too hardcore. You see them, they're white knuckling with whatever they're doing. They're trying to be very extreme. You know, they don't eat anything except the pure of the pure. And I can watch them. I see it coming a lot of times, and I'm like, yep, they're going to spin out soon. They're white knuckling it. They're barely hanging on. And when they can't hang on any further, they revert back to, just some of the horrible choices they have made in the past in their life. Whether it's that one addictive substance or just a pattern of eating a certain way. Sometimes, that this kind of behavior manifests itself in different ways. When people fall off the wagon, sometimes they just do a general falling off the wagon, and once they've eaten one bad thing they eat, they just kind of go off in a direction of poor eating. For others, it's that one particular substance. They introduce something that they probably knew they shouldn't, doesn't work well in their life. And then once that particular substance is back into their system, they just crave and crave and crave and crave. Now, I would say most of it is up here. Most cravings are up here. But they still are a craving. You got to deal with them. So just to offer a little advice here, it's just like you do with everything else, or like I say about everything else. You have to have a plan, and you have to think ahead. You always have to that's a good way to say it. I've never said it like that before. You have to think ahead, and this is not silly. Sometimes I think I exacerbate people. Like they can be like in person, like I say things and they're like, "Oh, Jack, you're always thinking too much." But these thinking too much situations may keep you out of problems. If you've got a problem with something, play with yourself. Do some role playing. Or think to the future. Think, okay, this is my problem. I have a cocaine problem. I have a food problem. Every time I say I'm not going to do it, I fall back. So what is my plan? How do I correct that? How do I keep myself from falling back to that pattern or that particular food or that particular substance, whatever it is? But all this stuff, listen, we've all been there. If we're an adult, most every one of us have been there, whether we've quit cigarettes, whether we've quit drinking, whether we've gone on 100 diets and had to put a little discipline into play, whatever, whether it's, or just decided to get healthy. We've all had to deal with this. We've all had to fight cravings to some extent or another, some stronger than the others. But at some time, you have to have that little bit of strength. At some time, you have to say no. There's going to come that time. It's never going to be easy. With the cigarettes, it was always like, you know, I'm going to quit. Okay, you're going to quit the famous Monday. Monday's a good day to quit cigarettes. You're going to quit cigarettes. Maybe you make it the first day, come Tuesday. A situation comes and what's the thing you tell yourself? You fool yourself. You say, well, but this happened, so I'm going to smoke this cigarette. Well, this is going to always happen or something. There's always going to be a reason to smoke that cigarette in your head when you're a smoker. Same thing with food patterns. You're going to always be able to justify right in that moment what you want to do. Oh, well, I've been good. I've been eating great. I'm going to reward myself. And I don't understand that mentality either. Like, I've never understood cheat days or like celebrating with bad food. I'm going to reward myself for doing good with bad food. Bad behavior, only bad behavior in the way that it affects you. That just makes absolutely no sense. So the takeaway on this is, I would say, if you have these things that you have a lot of problems with, cut them out. Cut them out. If there are things that are set, like if there's particular foods or particular types of foods that tend to make you really stray, get rid of them. Don't fool with them at all anymore. Don't use them as a reward. Don't use them as a cheat. Don't try to justify keeping them in your diet, or you're just going to kind of keep repeating the cycle over and over and over and over and over. And just then that's where I say it becomes more like an excuse. Well, I'm food addictions. Food addictions are strong. Food addictions are tough. They're not. I mean, you know, like I said to start this one off, most people don't. I don't think many people actually have bona fide food addictions. Now, some do, and I've witnessed that, so they do. But most people, like I say, you've just got to, okay, we'll say you do have a food addiction, but I'll still tell how to deal with it is just don't put that into your mouth. Whatever your addiction is, whatever that bad behavior is, whatever you deem to be bad behavior that's negative to you, you could have some behavior that's negative to you that's not negative to me, and vice versa. But if something is negative to you, cut it. Cut it. Don't try to deal with it. Don't try to dance with it. Most people can't dance with the devil. You might think you can dance with the devil, but you can't dance with the devil. You think you can control it. You think you can control that addiction, that addictive substance, that addictive behavior. You can't. Just get rid of it. Get rid of that behavior. Don't go back. Don't go back to any weak mentality of rewarding yourself. In other words, if something's bad, just get it out of your life. That's the simplest way for me to say it. Anyhow, hope this one was of some benefit whatsoever. If you like this one, give me a thumbs up. Hope you'll subscribe to the channel, and hope you're having a wonderful week. Peace.